about 6 a.m. I was driving to work, and on Huron Avenue in Cambridge, all of a sudden, I had a very strong feeling that God was, and the leaders of our church were going to give me an important assignment in the church. And I didn't know what it was, but I just had this feeling that they had a lot in store for me. And so I thought about, man, when they give this assignment, what am I going to do? And I started to put plans into place. And then the church chose somebody else instead of me. And when they chose that other person, you know, I looked at his resume and mine was just better, you know. So why did they not give this assignment to me? And I had never ascribed or aspired to go to higher levels in some kind of a hierarchy. You know, my brain doesn't work that way. But I always had wanted to say thanks to the Savior. And somehow I thought, if I get a more important calling in the church, I could do more things, you know, for the Savior. And why did they not give me that assignment? It took a couple of months to really sort it out. And then I reached the strangest conclusion. And that is, I don't know why I had those feelings, but God doesn't hire accountants in heaven. And that was a very insightful insight for me, because what I figured out is that you and I have finite minds. We can only think of one thing at once. And therefore, to get an understanding of what's going on, we have to aggregate things up. So I can't keep track of every invoice that comes into my company. And so I have to hire an accountant to add up all of the invoices, you know, so that we know how much money we're going to win or lose and so on. And we need to have somebody who helps us aggregate things up in order to know what's going on. And because we have to aggregate things into big numbers, we get a sense that somebody who presides over bigger numbers, like a CEO, is more important than somebody who presides over smaller numbers, like a salesperson. But then I realized that God doesn't have to aggregate up above the level of individuals to have a perfect understanding of what's going on in the world, because God has an infinite mind. And so God will measure my life by the individual people who I help to become better people. That's the way God thinks. That's the way he'll think about me. So he's never going to say, right, oh my gosh, Clayton Christensen, professor at the Harvard Business School, you taught thousands of people strategy and innovation. The fact that I was at Harvard won't even come up in the conversation. It will be, Clay, I stuck you in this situation. Let's just talk about the individual people who you help to become better people.